Hi everyone, welcome to Type Talks. Today we're here to talk about 10 signs you're not an INFP with Paul. And so the first sign is your conversation style is naturally direct and to the point.
Yes. As an INFP, I find my conversation style, like I will get to the point, but I'm going to take meandering paths and we're going to go off on tiny little tangents and sometimes very big tangents. But we're not exactly naturally prone to concise, crisp speech.
INFPs have a naturally informative style of speaking, so their extroverted intuition is likely to take many rabbit holes until they get to their point. So it's like, oh, this idea connects to that relationally, and then finally points. The second point is you're not good at brainstorming.
Yeah. And it's not to say we can't brainstorm, but we often need a push or an impetus to get us going. Often if someone starts putting out random ideas, then we will happily pitch in. But for whatever reason, it's quite tricky for us to just get going without any kind of stimulus. Because we can, but I think it's difficult to just do it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when INFPs have a good starting base or parameters to brainstorm, they can engage with it with other people and conversationally have that quip going back and forth of the exchange of ideas. They typically need something to light their fire so that they'll have a place to start brainstorming. But once they have that, they can continue. But yes, they need that initial push, definitely. And let me know if I say anything that's inaccurate to your experience.
I'll just start seething with rage.
Joyce
doesn't understand me at all.
Our relationship is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next sign you may not be an INFP is that you're naturally graceful and coordinated.
Yes. Anything involving physical, like kinesthetics, can be a real struggle, possibly because we tend to be a bit preoccupied with whatever we're feeling or fantasizing about. It's not to say an INFP can't become graceful or coordinated, but I think possibly due to SE or extroverted sensing being our trickster function, it takes a lot of effort. I think even with an INFP who is creatively inclined towards dance or something along those lines, it may, they may have to rely on their passion to get them going before they really develop that skill set.
Absolutely. And the next point is you're regularly aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into that sense of physical awareness because, and I say this is different than being observant because I think an INFP, if they just sit back and allow themselves to take in what's going on around them, then we are often very good at that. But if we are just trying to go around, do our thing, we aren't necessarily going to notice is there a car approaching as I'm about to wander across the street, or did somebody just call my name or anything like that. We often require giving ourselves a bit of space to really pay attention before we can notice the world around us.
Yeah, INFPs, a lot of them have maladaptive daydreaming. So they get absorbed in their imagination and they're like, yeah. I mean maladaptive daydreaming in the non-negative connotation.
You said what you said, Joyce. I'm so upset right now.
Yeah, he's going to go cry. I'm going to have to supply him tissues. This is
the poems alone.
And so the next sign is you're comfortable taking charge and telling others what to do.
Yes. INFPs, we tend to go with the flow, and we are usually big proponents of the live and let live philosophy. And because we tend to be individualistic, we like to hold space for other people's individuality. And this is not to say an INFP can't lead, because I think INFPs, just like any type, can be very wonderful leaders. But we don't tend towards the very authoritarian traditional style of leadership or delegation. We often like to maybe lead more indirectly by example or as an inspiration instead.
Yeah, And so one of the reasons why I think INFPs don't like telling others what to do is because what if you don't feel like wanting to do it? They don't want to force you to do something your heart's not into. It's like, yeah, you do you. You be your authentic you. I don't want to be the one crushing on your vibe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't tell me what to do. Get my consent first.
Yeah. And another point is that you are naturally comfortable with conflict. So in our previous video, Paul mentioned how INFPs don't like conflict unless a value is stepped on.
Yeah, conflict. And I don't think a lot of people are necessarily comfortable with conflict, but it's very difficult for us. Again, going back to our tendency to be kind of non-directive and, letting people just live their lives. When it comes time to conflict, and again, unless a value is at stake, we are going to probably have a very difficult time really like saying how we feel and what we're thinking, especially in the moment. We will need a lot of time to process what's going on. If the other person gives us space to step away from the situation and, come back later when we're feeling a bit calmer, then that is going to be a big deal. Conflict resolution is a wonderful skill set to have, but I think INFPs might struggle with that, at least for quite a while. Also because we tend to take things very personally.
Yeah. And so another point is you are not sentimental.
Yeah. INFPs are extremely sentimental people. The ones who say they aren't are liars. And I think that kind of ties into our connection with our SI as well. I think INFPs can be nostalgic, not just for things they've experienced, but also for things they would like to experience. So you'll get a lot of INFPs, for example, pining for a decade that they were never even alive for in the first place, which ties into a bit of that romanticism. And we often have, like, for example, favorite books or favorite shows or favorite movies that we want to reread or rewatch because it's very comforting to us. And also it's a way for us to connect with how we were feeling when we first discovered this media.
Yeah. And so Paul mentioned how interacting with things that he's nostalgic with takes him back to his own feelings and how it's evolved over time. And so with INFPs, they love exploring their own emotions and values to understand themselves more deeply. And it'll also help them with creating insights on other things too. But it starts with that point of self-introspection. And so nostalgia is a really great way to explore your own feelings in more depth about something. All right. And another sign you may not be an INFP is you feel like you fit in no matter where you are.
INFPs are not like other girls. We are individualistic, often to a fault. And even though we often feel out of step with other people around us, like maybe we're not into the same things like all the other kids are growing up, or we can't relate to a lot of the things that other people seem to care about. And while we can be insecure about it, we also wear it as a badge of honor. We would not forsake that feeling for anything. I enjoy being a misfit.
You're one of my favorite misfits.
Oh.
And so the next point is, when prompted, you can say exactly what you're thinking or feeling.
Sorry, my mind went totally blank. I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm playing into that. It is, especially when it comes to how we feel about something, we might need a lot of time to really communicate how we feel about something or even what we're thinking about. And it kind of ties into the earlier point of us having a very kind of roundabout, indirect, conversational speaking pattern. At the whole time, even when we're talking, we're still processing. It's like, is this how I really feel? And it's like, oh, am I using the right words here? And we might add a bunch of qualifiers, for example, to say, well, yeah, but then there's like this example where, and it's really only this time where I really care about this. These are just like examples I'm tossing out there. Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity to express what we're feeling or thinking, but we're not going to perhaps do it the way other people might want. Make sure you have time when you ask an INFP what they're feeling or thinking.
Yeah, it might take a while to unravel the yarn ball. All right. Another sign you're not an INFP is that you have no problem forsaking your values for pragmatism.
Yeah. Well, I think, and I can really only speak for myself here, while I think pragmatism is wonderful and I admire the hell out of people who are just pragmatic by nature, the idea of having to sacrifice something we really care about or put aside a value for the sake of doing what needs to be done is extremely difficult. We are going to have a really hard time in situations where it may be called for that. Oftentimes, we will try to put off whatever whatever decision needs to be made if we sense that a value of ours is being threatened as a result of this need for more objective action, so to speak. It's going to be very difficult, and your INFP might actually deal with a bit of trauma as a result if they have to go through something like this. So, yeah, we love the people who can get it done, but we wouldn't want to be them.
Yeah, and that's why there are a lot of INFPs when they're in workplaces that force them to go against their values. They're a little bit more prone to depression or not being satisfied at work because of the values and pragmatism clash there.
Yep.
I hope that helps the audience members at least have a good laugh or stay entertained while listening to these 10 signs. And yeah, every INFP is different. So there are exceptions to every rule. So don't feel too constrained by this list. It's for fun, but there is truth to it. And so thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.